Um, yeah, hello everybody. This is Anime Beer and Cake. I'm Mark.
And I'm Chris.
And yeah, and we're doing our little show here, the video segment of the podcast. It's Monday, October the 20th. It's 7:25. I was watching Attack of the Show just a little while ago, 2008. And I think who's gonna start first?
You.
Okay. Just for an explanation for people out there who haven't seen this segment before, this is the video segment of the Anime Beer and Cake podcast.
You almost said Otaku View.
Yeah, Otaku View was the last podcast that we did. This is the new one. This is the video segment. We do it every week, and we talk about reviews, previews, artists, mangas, whatever we can put into the show. We do it, in this one. Anyway, this week I'm going to be doing a review of Ponpoko, which I should start now. Chris, have you ever heard of Ponpoko?
No, I haven't.
Ponpoko is basically a Studio Ghibli film. They're the people who release a lot of the Hayao Miyazaki movies, so this definitely fits amongst that. This movie was actually directed by Isao Takahata, which probably a lot of people have not heard of before. But he made Ponpoko. This movie came out in 1994. Way back in the day, I watched this entire movie in English, not in Japanese. So I can only judge it from the English voice acting, which I think is decent. And yeah, basically, well, I don't even know what the Japanese name of it is.
Probably the same.
Yeah, but okay. I think in Japan they have raccoons in there. I think they call them like raccoon dogs, and I think they look slightly different than the raccoons that we have here in America. The movie Ponpoko is basically about that. It's about raccoons, and not just any kind of raccoons. They're raccoons that can transform. They master something called at least on the page, I actually looked up on Wikipedia for more information. They call it illusionary science, and I think in the movie they came out with some kind of fancy name for it. But we'll go with that.
Hold on.
Huh?
Wait a minute. So you telling me you're doing a review of an anime about raccoons transforming?
Yeah, they have the ability to transform into anything. They're like a specific race of raccoons with the power to transform, and they don't all have the power to transform. It's just a particular part.
YouTube, I'm sorry that Mark's doing this.
I know. It's a really old film, and we did an old school episode for episode 4. It's our kind of like somewhat retro show. So I thought 1994 movie about raccoons that was made by Studio Ghibli, it was appropriate.
That was the last time you went to the Which airport did you came from back in '94? Did you went from the Tokyo Haneda or the Tokyo Narita?
Probably, I think it was the Narita.
The Narita.
Before I came here. But anyway, basically, yeah, the story centers around this particular group called, I think the Tanuki. It's a specific group of raccoons. They're living on this place called Tama Hill, I believe, in Tokyo, and it's in the 1960s. So it's like that kind of booming era in Tokyo, I guess. And the raccoons were being threatened, and they live in a forest and things like that. And they've been living happily for 1,000 years or so. But, these raccoons that can transform into all sorts of different objects, started to get threatened by human beings because they wanted to do this big reconstruction project. And basically, the raccoons didn't like that, and at first they try to, they try to go along with it, but eventually the food started to run out because their resources started getting killed off, and their houses being destroyed. So they come up with all sorts of plans to try to take back their their home, basically. And the movie was pretty fascinating, for me. They try all sorts of tactics. The art style changes constantly from, the really rough kind of almost European art style that you see in the old school picture books that they have, with a lot of heavy coloring, and then it goes back to, almost like Charlie Brown art style, and then it goes to like anime art style. So it was kind of weird that, seeing them actually switch art styles from European art style to Japanese art style. I never really seen that in an anime before, and they would switch like that. I mean, they will be like this 1 second, and the next second it will switch to a different art style. I really liked it. The voice acting is just fantastic. I loved it. This is a children's film, but
why are we talking about it?
It's very dark. It's unlike any other movie that Studio Ghibli has released. I think I haven't seen them all, but so far this has been the darkest one. There's a lot of animals being killed in this movie, and it's kind of weird that this is a kids movie, and you see raccoons, being shot. You saw raccoons being run over by cars. You literally see the car run them over, cut them in half. And you're like, oh my god, this is a kids movie. But a kids movie in 1994 is different than a kids movie nowadays. I mean, nowadays you won't really have that.
I that could be arguably false, because I've watched this movie called Devilman, right? Oh. And it was a lot of killing in that movie. At the end of the movie,
what time did it came out?
It came out around 2005. At the end of the movie, everybody in the world dies, and then demons come out and they have to fight each other, and they kill each other in a brutal fight. Very gory, very bloody. A woman got her head cut off.
It's a kids movie?
And the rating was 14 years old. You have to be 14.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think it has changed.
Okay, but it's 14. I'm just teenagers. This is a little kids movie. This is for 7-year-olds. 7, 8-year-olds. But yeah, I guess the violence haven't changed too much. But it was pretty violent for a Studio Ghibli project. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it. There's a particular scene in the movie. There's a couple scenes in the movie where the raccoons decide that they're not going to fight the humans, that they're just going to use their transforming powers to try to scare them away from, Tama Hill. And, it was like this huge artistic extravaganza. And remember, this is 1994. And even today, it's still pretty impressive. It's like for people out there who likes, Tekken King Creek, and you watch that and that's like a feast for the eyes. This was almost like the 1994 version of that particular scene. I really like that. And, overall, the voice acting is good. The art is great. It still holds up. The story is still awesome. Everything in this movie is just fantastic. Really kind of deep ending, and really it touches a lot on human culture. There's a lot of Japanese lore in this thing because, of course, movies back then also always had something to do with Japanese lore. You could actually research that and kind of see a lot of the references that they did in the movie. It's just a good Studio Ghibli movie. And for a lot of people who watch Studio Ghibli movies, they know what a good Studio Ghibli is. But this is the same. It's just a little bit darker. So at the end of the day, if I have to give it some kind of rating, it would be like a B+.
Okay.
It is a little dark, but it's still okay. It does, touch on a lot of good points. So I guess that's it for me.
It looks like a good movie. Looks like a really good movie, but since not really too much of an anime fan,
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of hard for me to see it. But for any of you guys that have seen Pom Poko or is interested in seeing Pom Poko, comment us on the bottom of the page, and I'll get back to you, because I know Mark wouldn't.
Yeah, if you want a good traditional, anime movie, Pom Poko was definitely it. And it was made in the 90s when everything was still good. So, I can almost guarantee you're gonna definitely have a good time if you're into anime movies, but not really too hardcore and stuff.
Yeah, so give us your for the people that see Pom Poko, give us your take on it. Do you agree with Mark? Do you thought otherwise? Just comment us, man. Or you can go to our website at www.mypodcast.com. Nah, www.otakuview.mypodcast.com.
No, it's not Otakuview, Chris.
I get mixed up.
Just go to our regular website now, animebeerandcake.blogspot.com. You
Yes.
can leave a comment there.
Please do.
You could also go to, if you're watching this on YouTube, you could also go to the little comment page. You can, do it that way. So yeah, definitely go and check this movie out.
Yeah, I'm sorry guys. I'm still got the we still have that big, huge Otaku View hangover
Yeah.
that we can't just get rid of because it's always on our minds. Every time we do a podcast, we think of Otaku View, man, because that was the very first.
Yeah, sorry.